Hello. For some time now I've been designing Altoids little mini survival kits and tool kits. I've been recently exploring using Tic Tac boxes, either the little micro size or the larger Tic Tac size. But always wanted to incorporate one of my two favorite tools, Leatherman and Swiss Army knives. I prefer Victorinox, but Wenger also make them. I'd like to incorporate one of these into an Altoids tin. So I first looked into it and discovered that this one was highly recommended, the Swiss Bianco Alox edition. It doesn't have plastic scales, it's aluminum, which has a very nice saw. I'll also show in another video, in my micro sparker video, how this can be used to make tinder with any piece of cloth. And this does certainly fit inside one of the tins. But then I thought, what else could fit besides this one? So I grabbed my Swiss Champ, which is one of my largest ones, and I didn't expect it to fit. But then I discovered, wait a minute, that does fit. It's simply too wide, and you have to kind of approach it at an angle. It has trouble fitting this way. It catches on that lip. But if you come in at an angle, it does fit. So I thought, well, maybe just a thinner version of this. So I opened up some of my other knives. Here's, for instance, one, a Champion. And I thought, well, maybe if I remove the plastic scales, I could make it thinner. Maybe if I drill out the rivets and remove some of the tools I don't need, I could make it thinner. For instance, I never used the fish scaler, and you can always scale a fish with a knife. You don't really need this tool. Also, the magnifying glass. I like having a magnifying glass, but there's no reason it has to be on a handle. You know, there's no application really where you can't just hold it like this to use the magnifying glass. You don't need a handle because you're not prying with it. So I thought about what tools I could remove, and I thought about what it would entail. Finding these rivets is not exactly easy, but I thought, what about just buying a skinnier Swiss Army knife? So I looked into it, and it seemed the Ranger was going to be a perfect fit. It had all the important tools I wanted: the wood saw, metal saw, and file. But it wasn't nearly as fat as the Swiss Champ and the Champion. It's still a little bit too fat to fit in an unmodified Altoids tin, however. But what I did is I removed the corkscrew attachment, I filed it down, and I also modified the Altoids tin slightly. Normal Altoids tins, you can pry off the lid, poke it off, flatten these little tabs, insert your oversized product, and then reassemble the tabs, and suddenly you can make this fatter on the back edge. So that's what I've done. So here's the Ranger. I bought this used about 4 days ago. It's in okay shape. They all have good snap to them. This is an older model. It doesn't have the hook on it, but I got it for only 20 bucks on eBay. So here's my Ranger with the corkscrew removed. And here is an Altoids tin that I've slightly modified the hinges. And it fits perfectly like a glove, which I really like. Notice the curve of the product and the curve of the tin kind of replicate each other quite nicely. And I still get a nice double click. So I have a nice solid Altoids and a nice solid Victorinox knife in my Altoids tin. So here's a standard Altoids tin. It's an old one before they had the raised lettering, but it's the same. I'm going to show you how to modify the hinge. You pull it slightly, you pull these with your fingernail, and then you just kind of pry it out, like so. And now you flatten these hinges. So I flattened these so that they don't have any curl to them anymore. Take your oversized product, such as the Ranger. See how it's just a little bit too thick for the tin? I like to actually put some extra paper around it so you have some extra margin of error. Put it into the tin, put the top on, just straight on, you're not putting the hinge on yet. Okay, so now while it's compressed with the paper, you now bend these forward like so. And now with a flat screwdriver, for instance from my Leatherman, we're going to push those in. Use the largest blade you have. Now you remanufacture the hinges by pushing them in. And I'm squishing the case shut as I do this. You also can strengthen the front hinge a bit by pushing in slightly at the 2 points where the little click tabs are. That gives you a more solid snap shut. Okay, so we're now going to remove the product with the paper. Now we can work on the hinges without the product in the case. We'll be sure you don't change the hinge location as you're doing this. Let's double check that it works. It works. I'm also working on another kit people might be interested in. This is another sort of mini tool tin, also Altoids. This one, however, is made with a Leatherman skeletal CX that I've also modified and cut down. This is sort of my bit kit tool kit. I'll have a video on this in the future. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see it.